Alright, today we're having a look at Silhouette by Owen-G-Man. Alright, so here we are in Silhouette by Owen-G-Man, Silhouette platformer, and why can I not jump? Okay, I've been having these troubles with my controller recently. That's on me. Okay, let's not get too feisty. We're gonna do this. Now the title page says that Owen wanted to make a platformer that had a bit of a LBP 1 feel to it. Oh, I didn't think I was going to survive that. Did mention that there were a few elements from LBP 2 to give it a bit more of a platformer flow. That's not the level's fault, that's my controller sucks. Gosh darn it. Please don't do this to me. Apparently, the X button doesn't like to trigger when it's getting an input from the stick. Okay, we can do this. It does make the level a little bit more difficult. That's, again, not on the level at all. Just the way that these things go. Very sorry about that, Owen. Now, the title page also mentioned that this is similar to Owen's previous work, Pixels, which is an LBP 1 level. Okay, we almost dropped ourselves off the edge there. And I have played it, and it is very similar in feel to it, so that's kind of cool. Kind of a callback to that. We'll probably have a little bit of a look at that in the hub, but so far... Oh, come on! I would be having more fun with this if the mechanicals on my end were not so wonky. I'm just gonna have to accept that that is the case until I get a better controller. As far as the level goes, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's got that Silhouette feel, very, very simple style. I don't know, I mean, I guess maybe that these blocks were glass so as to make the... Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, it's not a bad obstacle. It's just going to be a little bit tricky with our issues. I imagine that perhaps Owen made the electric obstacles glass to make them a little bit more easy to see, which is understandable, but it does kind of break that theme a little bit. We've kind of talked about that with Silhouette levels before. Kind of one of the big things the Silhouette levels have going for them is theme, so having something that kind of mucks that up a little bit, you do kind of wonder, like, well, oh fudge, why? Oh, wow, that's 3 minutes. Sorry about the voice. We're gonna talk about this back at the hub. We'll see you there. See yas. And we're back, and Silhouette by Owen-G-Man, and I'd say it's an orange diamond. It's not a bad level, but it definitely did have some issues that I felt that were bringing it down. On the positive side for the level, I found it for the most part to be relatively enjoyable. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. There's nothing too difficult going on in there, nothing that's gonna get you caught up unless you've got a bum controller like I do, which was a bit of a problem, and I tried to separate this frustration of my controller with the actual screw-ups to the gameplay, but I felt for the most part that it's not gonna, like, super challenge anyone, and that's fine. Sometimes a nice, straightforward, fun level is fine. There was a neat little bit of gameplay obstacle in there. You got these two rotating circles with a channel in between them, well, cutting the center of the circle, bisecting it. And usually with that type of obstacle, there's like a grab bit that you're gonna have to grab on the top so that you don't get thrown out of the circle because of the rotation being relatively quick. Here the rotation's pretty slow and the circles are pretty big, which means that you can actually just kind of ride the circle and then flip over to the other side and get out. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's a little bit of a simple twist on a gameplay mechanic that I see fairly frequently, and I like that an awful lot. Now, that does kind of bring us around to the parts that I maybe didn't like quite so much. Now, Owen tells us in the title page that he was interested in doing a LBP 1 feel level because the servers have been shut down, which is quite laudable. I love LBP 1 levels and the particular feel of those levels, but then goes on to mention that some gameplay mechanics and elements from LBP 2 have been added to make it feel like more of a platformer. And what that means in the end is that you've got a lot of bounce pads, particularly in the second section of the level, the second half of the level, and to me that seemed like a really strange a bit of a strange flex there, because Owen has shown in other levels that he knows how to do LBP 1 style bouncers, like actual mechanical bouncers. We see those in Fun Platformer, and they have a bit of a pain in the butt to set up, I admit, but I feel like if you were going to go for, you know, full on with an LBP 1 feel, then why not use those? And also, there have been other ways of vertical movement in the level as well, where you've got like you got the circles that you can ride up, they fling you up, and I was like, well, you've kind of got these other methods, why not stick to those and keep it in that LBP 1 feel? There's also a bit of wall jump towards the very end of the level that's just like, why is it there? It's not really necessary. I don't think that's the best way that you could have gotten that effect, and again, it's just like calling out to LBP 2 when we're supposed to be calling out to LBP 1. There's a wormhole in there as well, and like in LBP 1 there was the old technique, if you wanted to teleport players, you would just have them grab something that would trigger a... Hello, Brain Meats. It would... You'd grab something, it would trigger a checkpoint, and then deadly gas would kill you, and it would force the player to teleport. Like, that's a way to do it. You would have the LBP 1 style, and you wouldn't have to use wormholes. So there was that. Another issue that I had with the level, and this is kind of in contrast with this level's precursor, Pixels. Now, Pixels was done in LBP 1. It's fully LBP 1 level, and they're very, very similar in style. They're similar in gameplay. Some of the gameplay elements from Pixels show up in Silhouette, so you know, it's clearly we're working with some inspiration there. Now in Pixels, as a point of difference, you've got these like text blocks telling you to run, or jump, or danger, you know, whatever. And I found that they break up the visual space in a nice way that Silhouette doesn't. With Silhouette, we can see that it's just these huge swaths of just blank background, and because the camera is pulled out quite far, it's not super far, but it's pulled back relatively far, that's basically your visual field. It's just this huge background with just some black as far as like excuse me, actual platforms and things like that, and it's empty and kind of dull, to be honest. I don't like to throw shade, but it is, and I feel like that what we see done in Pixels, it does help to break up that visual field, as I said, and give you a little bit more going on in there, and pulling the camera in a bit tighter I think would have helped as well. Now, I did mention some of Owen's other levels. I played through 4 of Owen's other levels: Pixels, Fun Platformer, Savannah Platformer, and Snow No, because there was a gameplay element that I saw here that I was sure was in one of those. Turned out not to be the case. I must have seen it elsewhere recently, but looking through my recently played, I could not find it again. But anyways, I really, for the most part, enjoyed those levels. I think I enjoyed them more than Silhouette. Pixels and Fun Platformer, definitely. Fun Platformer, even though everything is grabbable, it's all grabbable materials, which does cause some interesting interactions sometimes, but you've got a pretty quick-paced, high-score type of simple platformer that you're going through, and I had a really good time with it, and I thought it had a nice aesthetic to it, a nice bright aesthetic to it, which was pretty cool. Savannah Platformer is a solid on level in the Savannah theme. You're not really, I think, seeing too much stretching going on there, but I had a good enough time with it in the end. Now, snow no is a bit more of a problem, but I think this problem might be more on my end than on the level itself. You've got a lot of areas in snow no where you're running and jumping on glass, and there's like spiked hazards in there, the drop hazards in there. And I struggled with that an awful lot because, as I mentioned in the video, my X button just doesn't really seem to want to work very well anymore, so being able to do precise jumps is quite tricky. I'd like to go back to Snow No. I wasn't able to complete it this time around, but I would like to go back to it once I've got a controller that actually worked. There's some homemade enemies in Snow No that I really liked. They were simple, but they were goofy and cute, and I always appreciate that. And I think that's pretty much all that we've got to say here about Silhouette. A good time, but definitely could use, I think, a lot of polish to really bring it up to a yellow square or a green circle. Owen, thank you very much for the effort that's gone into making the level. I super appreciate it, and I look forward to more things from you in the future. But that pretty much does it here at this Go About. So, from me, Visco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.